live your dream, I will help you. I promise you. I will do whatever I can for you. I was in that league for 44 years, playing and coaching. But you got to help me, and you got to help your teammates, and have fun and win this thing. You guys got it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the OG XFL Week in Review. Yeah, I am your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub, your all-football media guru. Episode 187. Welcome to the program. On this week's show, we preview Week 4. We talk about TV ratings. We've got the latest depth charts, fresh off the presses. This whole schedule change, I'm going to get into that a little bit, and so much more. So if you like football, then like and subscribe to our channel. Let's get this to 100 likes. Hit that notification bell to get alerted when we go live and we post new content, and that's how we roll here. So if you want to be part of the show, it's really simple. All you have to do is email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts, record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show, 888-430-7692, extension 3. I believe you can also text 888-430-7692. Maybe we should start trying that. Would you guys like to text? Would you guys like to text? That's cool, right? Okay, cool. We can do that. Also, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that great stuff. We appreciate you there. And we are live every Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern on your YouTube, Facebook, Twitters, and Twitch going on right here for your viewing pleasure. So on this week's program, I also wanted to point out real quick that we did an update. So we've also got our Reddit alt football. I can talk about that later. We'll do that later. And of course, News Hub Fantasy. We still have leagues forming there. Bros all across the board. Everybody's been awesome, just making the system better. And there's more stuff to come. Just every week, it just keeps getting better and better. So super excited and blessed about that. So that's what we're going to go through. So we've got some news. We've got some ratings. We've got depth charts, and we've got all sorts of stuff. What's up, everybody in the chat room? We'll get to all your chat room stuff at the second half of the show. The first half will be news. Then we'll go through my picks and all the other stuff as kind of the second half and get you all set for Week 4. Do you believe this? Week 4 of the XFL season. We are 1 week away from tying the XFL record for weeks played or whatever. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. We're getting closer there. So, all right, without further ado, folks, let's just get into the preview of Week 4 in the XFL. XFL Week 3 TV ratings are in. Our own main man, Mike Mitchell, says the TV ratings are in for Week 3 of the 2023 XFL season. The XFL aired 3 games this past weekend on FX, with ESPN2 airing the Week 3 finale on Sunday night. 10 of the XFL's 12 games have aired on cable, with each XFL game airing on ESPN+. The league's only 2 airings on network television, ABC, averaged over 1.5 million viewers. The XFL will not be back on ABC until Week 6. So the league's first 6 cable telecasts have been all ranked in the top 12 out of the 150 cable TV shows, and that basically desired 18 to 49 demographic. So let's see how the XFL did this past week. So Saturday night's exciting Seattle Sea Dragons Vegas Viper game. We all know Ben DiNucci with the touchdown to Josh Gordon on FX at 7 p.m. Eastern, averaged 528,000 viewers. The telecast ranked 24th out of 150 cable TV shows for that night. Week 3 in the XFL featured a triple header on Sunday afternoon. The opening game between the DC Defenders and St. Louis Battlehawks on FX averaged 665,000 viewers, and that game was on at 1 o'clock. The 2023 NFL Combine, which aired at the same time on the NFL Network, averaged 208,000 viewers. The XFL telecast on FX was ranked 13th out of 150 cable TV shows on that day. The second XFL afternoon game on FX between the Orlando Guardians and Arlington Renegades averaged 550,000 viewers. The telecast was ranked 23rd out of 150 cable TV shows. And then the Sunday night game, which was on ESPN2, between the Houston Roughnecks and San Antonio Brahmas averaged another 543,000 viewers. The evening XFL telecast was rated 15th out of the top 150 demo. So the XFL's run on cable exclusive airings continue this upcoming week. Week 4 sees the league split again between FX and ESPN2. If you want to tier the channels, FX is at the bottom, ESPN2, then ESPN and ABC is at the top. The first 2 games will air Saturday evening on FX back-to-back, followed by a doubleheader on ESPN2 on Sunday. So you got the Roughnecks Guardians Saturday at 7 p.m. on FX. Then Eastern Brahmas Sea Dragons late night 10 p.m. On FX as well, Eastern time. Then the big game, Arlington Renegades versus St. Louis Battlehawks. St. Louis opens their home. The Dome is open for the first time since 2020. That game starts at 4 p.m. Eastern. That's on ESPN2. Then followed by at night, the Vegas Vipers head into DC Defender territory. Shields up, the home of the Beer Snake, America's team, DC Defenders. And they are at March 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern, also on ESPN2. It should be an interesting week to see how these TV shows, these games, do for next week's ratings. Our main man, Anthony Miller, has his top players for week 3 of the XFL season. So the stars of every XFL came out in full force this past week. After every game during the weekend was one possession game. Fans finally got to see some high-powered offenses as teams are starting to hit their stride, which we had talked about earlier on, that basically give them about till week 3 or 4 to things start cranking up. 2 of the 4 games were the 2 highest scoring games of the season, with Seattle and Vegas combining for 56 points, St. Louis and DC combining for 62 points. Defenses were on display as well, with the Guardians and Renegades combining for the lowest scoring game of the season with 19 total points. There was plenty of star power to go around in week 3, so let's take a look at it. Offensive Player of the Week, Ben DiNucci, quarterback, Seattle Sea Dragons, 28 of 34, 377 yards, 4 touchdowns, 6 carries on 32 rushes. He also, I think, fumbled also, but the main thing was the big pass to Josh Gordon at the end of the game. Ben DiNucci, we knew he was a guy. He just needed to kind of put it together. The late game heroics with the Seattle Sea Dragons, no doubt about it. He was the top guy of the week. Honorable mentions, Morgan Ellison, running back for the Sea Dragons, 18 carries for 103. He has a knee injury, so he could kind of be questionable going forward. And, of course, Josh Gordon, Sea Dragons, 6 catches, 118 yards, and 2 touchdowns. A must start in your DFS from now on. A.J. McCarron also played well, 26 of 42, 262 yards, 4 touchdowns. And his go-to guy in St. Louis, Hakeem Butler, wide receiver, St. Louis, 9 catches, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Brandon Silvers, also a consistent guy. You can always have on your DFS. Houston Roughnecks, 24 of 35, 278 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Defensive Player of the Week, Davin Bellamy, defensive line, your DC Defenders, America's team, 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, and 1 forced fumble. Hey, what more could you ask for? Big stop at the end of the game. Michael Joseph also had for the second time in 3 weeks, had a pick 6. So the DC Defenders defense was rolling under Greg Williams, and he had the big game. Honorable mention, of course, Michael Joseph, 5 tackles, 1 interception for a touchdown. Is he going to do that again this weekend against the Vegas Vipers? Is he going to get another pick 6? Will Hill, safety for the Arlington Renegades, had 10 tackles, a half a sack, and 1 tackle for a loss. Darnell Sankey, you might remember him from the CFL. Arlington Renegades, he had 8 tackles, a half a sack, 2 tackles for a loss. He was all over the field as well. Willie Harvey, linebacker for the Battlehawks, 6 tackles, 1 for a loss, and 1 forced fumble. And Ben DeLuca, a DB for the Battlehawks, 7 tackles and 2 fumble recoveries. Special Teams Player of the Week, Darius Shepard. You should also look at him as potentially on the offensive side for the Battlehawks. 5 returns, 190 yards, 72-yard one. He almost took it to the house. So he played well. Honorable mentions, Marquette King, the Arlington Renegades, 5 punts, 263 yards, 52.6 average. There was not a lot of scoring, so they needed to use him. Travis Johnson, San Antonio Brahmas, 4 returns for 120 yards with a 59 long. Matthew McCrane, the DC Defenders kicker, was 2 for 2 with a 41 long field goal. Daniel Whelan, punter, had 4 punts for 214 yards with a 53.5 average. And Dominic Eberle, kicker for the Dragons, 2 field goals and 34-yard long field goal as his longest. So DC, the teams are coming together. Offense is starting to come together. You're starting to see who the players are on defense and on special teams as well. It'll be fun going into week 4 of the XFL season. Now we're kind of seeing who are the dogs, who are the guys that we need to keep an eye on for the rest of the season. Our man Pat Ruffino has the XFL Week 4 quarterback rankings for the third week of the XFL. So some more dynamic quarterback play from iteration. While some quarterbacks regress from their previous rankings, other rose, and the league is beginning to see which quarterbacks are in the elite category of the XFL. So here we go. At number 9, De'Aaron King gets an honorable mention. Previously, he got an honorable mention. He's at number 9. Cole McDonald is the lone honorable mention for week 3. While statistically presence was limited, anytime McDonald comes on the field, the opposing defense needs to take notice. He didn't really do much to this week, 7 carries for 5 rushing yards, but he did complete his first pass. So De'Aaron King, DC Defenders, he was a previous honorable mention. He is at number 9. Threw a ball, got a touchdown, 4 rushing attempts, but it seems like the DC, the passing attack with Jordan Ta'amu seems to be the guy. I think, and I was like, don't even take him out. So I think De'Aaron King saw less because Jordan Ta'amu was playing well. I'll be really curious to see how that goes this weekend. Jack Cohen moves. He's at number 8. He was at 3. Why? 8 for 20, 64 yards, a touchdown, and a pick, 9 rushing attempts for 27 yards. Just had to go up against the buzzsaw that is the Houston Roughnecks defense. That's kind of why that happened. I have a feeling he will bounce back this week. Brett Hundley, Vegas Vipers, was previously 8. He moved up to 7. I thought he did well. 13 of 28, 224 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 rushing attempts, and also a rushing for 66 yards and a rushing TD. I would have had him more up. I think he is now starting to feel comfortable in this spot. He's got Jeff Badette. They have not used Martavis Bryant yet, but the problem is they're still 0-3, but I think they are close. Hopefully not this week against America's team, your DC Defenders, but we'll see how that goes this week. I think DC's Defenders can hold them all, but the Vegas Vipers are definitely a team. They're getting it. They're getting close. They could beat them this weekend, but I hope not. But whatever. Number 6, Kyle Sloter, Arlington Renegades. He was unranked his first start, 18 of 23, 124 yards and a touchdown, 4 rushing attempts for -2. I mean, he was rated the number 2 quarterback by Pat Ruffino, and he knows quarterbacks. Look at his Twitter handle. The thing is, we thought we would get a little bit more out of him. Sal Cannella, we knew he would have something, 5 catches for 33 yards, but we thought we would get more from Sloter. I'm wondering about is Bob Stoops in the Arlington team? This is kind of how they were in 2020. Nothing like earth-shattering from the team. This is the week to change my mind, but I'm starting to lean towards that. I don't know what's going on with the Arlington offense. They have the guys in place. It's just not clicking. Is it the coaching or is it the players? This is a question mark for me. Arlington Renegades offense. If we go another stinker, Kyle Sloter should be good. If we go for another stinker, then I'm a little concerned that it's something with the offense, and I'm not sure it's the player because Sloter was great in the USFL. That's all. He was an MVP guy. So we'll see this week. Will be interesting. And think about it. We only have 2 weeks and we're halfway through. Paxton Lynch, number 5. He was 6 and moved up to 5. 19 of 31, 219 yards. 10 rushing attempts for 43 yards and a touchdown. He looked much better in the pocket, more comfortable. Offensive line looked like it was playing better, gave him some more time, but they still came up with the loss. That's the problem there. Jordan Ta'amu, DC Defenders, America's team. He's previously 7. He moves up to 4. He was a guy this week. 11 of 20, 196 yards and a touchdown. 10 rushing attempts for 22 yards and another touchdown. Also had a fumble, but you could see he's starting to put it together. This was his game, and we had said, give these offenses a chance going into week 3 before they start to put it together. Let's see if Jordan Ta'amu. Vegas Vipers have got some guys on the defensive side of the ball. We'll see if they can contain Jordan Ta'amu, because once the offense gets clicking, the DC Defenders defense is good. They lose Ethan Wolf. He is out for 2 weeks, and he used him a little bit on the offense. So we'll see how they do. And they had some injuries on the offensive line as well. Number 3, A.J. McCarron, still one of the top guys. Battlehawks, he was previously number 1. Still a guy, 26 of 42, 262 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's a little bit of the problem. 2 rushing attempts for 6 yards. He also had a fumble. Keep a hand on the ball. They had another shot. This weekend and the Battle Dome is going to be off the charts. Cacaw is the law. It is going to be big, hearing potentially 34,000. We had broke that on XFL News Hub that it was going to be 32. Now we're hearing that it could be 34. So stay tuned for that. And they also could hit 30,000 for their second game already. So keep that in mind. A big win. They need to win this game to light that place and get those fans on fire. So definitely rooting for A.J. McCarron. Ben DiNucci is a guy that you need to play. Seattle Sea Dragons ranked 4th. He is at number 2. 29 of 37, 377 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, 6 rushing attempts for 32 yards. Did have 2 fumbles. Keeps fumbling the ball, Ben. Hold on to the ball. Then you'd be a guy. But he's definitely, DiNucci is out there as a potential MVP. Seattle just needs to start getting in the win column. They're starting to lose. I mean, you've got the St. Louis Battlehawks and the DC Defenders. They really need to get a win this weekend to stay pace, but he's really looking really good. And, of course, number 1, Brendan Silvers, Houston Roughnecks. He was 2. Now he's number 1. Agree with that. 24 of 35, 278 passing yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Not much on the ground, but he is running the offense like he's supposed to. A.J. Smith, the offensive coordinator for the Houston Roughnecks, is a guy. He's been dialing up plays. Love listening to him and watch him play call during XFL games. But that is the Week 4 quarterback rankings. Let us know what you think in the comments. So this one, we'll get into this. So the XFL announced that they're going to basically flex their schedule. So in partnership with the Walt Disney Company and ESPN, exclusive broadcast partner of the XFL, they made an update. So Thursday, March 16th, the Houston Roughnecks versus Seattle Sea Dragons at Lumen's Field is now scheduled for 10:30. I believe it was supposed to be 10 p.m. Eastern. It will now be broadcast on ESPN versus FX. That is good. Remember the tiers: FX, ESPN2, ESPN, and then ABC. Saturday, March 25th, the Seattle Sea Dragons versus Orlando Guardians at Camping World Stadium is now scheduled for 1 p.m. and will be broadcast on ABC. Remember, we weren't supposed to get an ABC television XFL game not till like week 8 or something like that. Everything was front-loaded and put on FX, especially during March Madness, and then it was going to be brought out as we got closer to the playoffs. That was the original plan, but they're flexing the schedule. Then Monday night, I mean, this is a banger, yo. March 27th, Houston Roughnecks. If we win, if we can keep the wins going, Houston Roughnecks, DC Defenders, your potential championship at Audi Field, home of the Beer Snakes, scheduled for 7 p.m., will now be broadcast on ESPN2. That was originally scheduled for FX. Now moves to ESPN2 on a Monday night football at 7 p.m. That's cool. I looked at this and said, hey, this is great news. This shows that everybody is excited about what's happening in the XFL, and we should be all rejoice. Like, this is a good sign, right? If you're moving television programs from a lower tier to a higher tier, you're feeling very comfortable about what you're going on. Well, as what happens in the world, not everybody thinks that. And really the main culprit guy out there, it's not loading, was my friend Mike Florio. Here's his title. With ratings still low compared to the 2.0 era, that is correct. ABC, ESPN shuffle XFL 3.0 games to bigger platforms. That is ABC. This is a factual. Well, I don't know if ratings still low. Okay, so he says this. The third iteration of the XFL isn't drawing viewers the way the first two did. This is correct. And so, in an effort to boost ratings, 3 upcoming games have been moved to higher profile networks. To boost ratings? What the ratings are, and this is the part that is the disconnect. So you're saying that it was struggling, so therefore they need to move it to a higher graded network to help the struggling ratings? Well, here's the problem, Mike Florio, with that logic, is it's math. So according to Variety, of course, in 2022, so this was last year, this is the average viewership of these networks. So USA, so for example, TNT was down 965,000 from 1.9 million. TBS to 870,000 from 1.03 million. USA Network, home of the WWE, is now at basically 700,000 average viewers from 848,000. And the other network that was down, FX. It used to be at 500,000, and now it's at 462,000. This is according to Variety. So the average audience in FX is now 450,000. You can also look, we have a ratings thing here. It basically says that they, for the most part, and this is in 2022, that the ratings for FX, prime time, just kind of average ratings, are kind of below 400,000. But I'll give you 450 on that. Going back to Mike Florio's thing. So he talks about the game switching. The changes came after a third disappointing week for the XFL. According to who? Who said that was disappointing? As opposed to the 2.0 era? Or when it comes to the average audience that watches something on FX. So via sportsmediawatch.com, the week 3 games averaged 571,000 viewers on FX and ESPN. That's a 13% drop from week 2. Hey, USFL games dropped, NFL games drop. Mike, you cover the NFL. You should know this, that the first week or two, then it drops. That's to be expected. That's no surprise here. The Sunday game between St. Louis and D.C. led the way for the weekend, 665,000. He says the averaged 571,000 viewers. 571,000. FX averages 100,000 viewers less than what the XFL brought to their channel. So the logic is that basically the way I read it, Mike, and other supposed unbiased people, but they are biased, they moved it because it was doing well on FX so that it can do even better on these other cable channels. I think part of the reason why they put it there is they was kind of, number one was kind of put it out of the way a little bit until the playoffs and kind of see how could it hold its own and could it do well. Remember, you can't compare the 2020 XFL because remember, NBC was not part of it. Mike Florio, you were out. Remember your tone when it comes to the fledgling football leagues. But then all of a sudden, when you guys signed up with the USFL, your tone kind of changed a little bit. That's okay. Whatever. But you can't compare that because that's national TV. Anytime there's a game on ABC or NBC or Fox, you're going to get millions of viewers. But they put everything on FX, which we all know. No one watches FX for sports, but they put it on there. The fact that they are upgrading them, how is that a bad thing? How is that? I was so stunned that people were like, oh, this is a negative thing. That somehow moving these games up to a higher tier network is this is Disney. They're in the business of making money. You know what Disney did? They looked at these 3 things and they said, hey, let's bump these guys up so that we can make more money because people are watching. But all of a sudden, people out there, a vocal minority, had a problem with me and a problem with XFL News Hub, basically calling us biased and being like, oh, well, see, clearly this is a bad thing. I just showed you the math. You cannot deny numbers. That's number one. Number two, saying that we're biased or whatever, like, dude, this is I'm a stupid guy on a stupid channel that we talk about the XFL. I do not take myself seriously. So why do you care? And so, and then there was all these like arguments going on online about this thing. And let me tell you something. If you are a person who likes to argue on Twitter or Facebook, I have to be honest with you. And I try to be a good Christian dude. I have a problem because I am also from Long Island, New York, and I am 98% Irish. So I got this little in me as well. If you argue online, whether it is on Twitter or it is on Facebook, you are a loser. You are a freaking loser, a broken loser. Who cares? Who cares? It's unbelievable. And the only reason why I know this is because I get my accounts pulled into this crap. And I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, well, you know, you guys are biased and you, Like, first of all, why do you care about what we do? I thought we're nobodies. But apparently we have a big stroke in the world of alt football, which 98% of the world's population could care less about, but apparently you do. This became a thing that people were arguing about. I think it's a good sign. We all looked at it as a good sign. If they had decided to take games off of ABC and move them to FX, do you think I would be like, that's a great move? No, I wouldn't. But it's funny. People who accuse other people of bias, aren't you biased too? So you're saying that you are the authority of what is true and what is false in the world. You out there that likes to argue on Twitter, the broken loser who wants to do that over something is dumb. Like, you are dumb. And it really has nothing to do. It's so funny because, and I see this a lot, because they'll say, I watch Pat McAfee, for example, and you'll see them say, a lot of people are saying this online. No, like Twitter and Facebook are not the real world. Like, we put too much onus in like, oh, everybody's pissed off at this. Like, people who argue online have been shown in studies that they're jerks online and they're jerks and have no friends in real life. That has been proven. There's studies on that. I think that any time you're going to get the broken losers that likes to, and trust me, I used to be that. In my 30s, I was an atheist watching Fox News all the time and would love to argue with everybody about everything. And where did that get me? No friends. That's what I was like to argue guy. I was watch politics and likes to argue guy. And there's plenty of them that love Twitter because they can and then they can go hide. And what I realized, especially going through the spiritual thing that I have gone through, is like I don't need that. I'm good. But what I do know is that people that do that online, I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, but that is loserish. You are a loser. But really, at the bottom line is you're broken. You're a broken soul. If anything that we do at XFL News Hub upsets you and you feel the need to sprout out, just so that you are aware, I know that you are broken and you are a loser because you have nothing better to do than to do that. But you are broken. I know you're broken. And you're lost. maybe it's time to focus on something else because you're lost. I don't argue with anybody. Like, I don't care. Whatever. Like, this is supposed to be fun. I was like stunned. I was like, what? This? This is a good sign. But then, and Mike Florio, hey, I don't know what your deal is, bro, or where you are in your life. But there was other articles too that was like, bro, we're in week 3 of this. If you want to criticize the XFL, this is not the spot to do it. This is a positive. I'm sorry, because I'm biased, and you're not. You're not biased, but I am. It's because I say something that you don't like, because what you want is for the XFL News Hub to fail, and you want the XFL to fail, really. And you to go away. I'm not going anywhere. I have been here for a lot longer, and I've got a lot more people that give a crap about what I do than what you do with your little followings and your little. I mean, hey, I'm flexing. I worked hard to do this. But there's other people writing the same thing. Dude, we're in week 3. You want to criticize the XFL? Vegas Vipers. San Diego, easily 25,000. 25,000 people in the stands. Vegas, hey, but if that's what you want to do, that's a legitimate criticism. And we did criticize them for that. I think, too, the Vegas thing caused the rollout to not be as effective as in 2020. They had a big ramp up. Y'all had a long time to do this stuff. People were getting hired 2 months into the season. Now, why would the league do that? Because they are looking at things a couple years from now. So, and the USFL is the same way too. They believe that they're going to be around for 10 years. The XFL, I've heard 5 years. They have money for 5 years, and they're good for 5 years. So both leagues. Then at the end of the day, we want all of these leagues to succeed, clearly. But this being a thing just kind of like, really? So let's be honest with each other. This is a positive thing. Upgrading things. Everybody else wants to spin it. And I was once told some wise words, talk to me in 6 months. And I love that. And I use that all the time now. Talk to me in 6 months. We're talking about week 3. And we knew these things were going to come because people click on them. I'm just trying to give you the honest scoop. And I think this is a positive thing. Everybody on XFL News Hub was like, this is great. Then all of a sudden, the people who are unbiased and have no axe to grind whatsoever and should be trusted with state secrets of the world have a problem with that. We're like, oh, this is good. Yeah, you can sling all the arrows you want at me. I'm good. I'm good. It doesn't matter. But I'm also not going to sit here and shut my mouth and just take it. So I know you're broken, and that's okay. Admit it, find your anchor, and you'll have a much happier life. Because I don't care what your deal is. I know you're broken. If I make you upset, you got problems. If XFL News Hub makes you upset, you got problems. If the XFL's existence makes you upset, you have problems. You go do you. You'll be fine. Just wanted to kind of point that out. It's been going on. It's just the weirdest thing, man. And I'll just leave it at that. So I gave you the numbers. You decide for yourself if you think this was a bad thing or good thing. I'll just leave it at that. Okay? Good. Let's move on. Offensive tackle Jaron Jones-Smith suspended for 2 games for the Battlehawks. We were wondering what was going on with all of the suspensions of the fight after this thing. So the XFL, Russ Brandon, I was wondering if it was going to be Russ Brandon or it was going to be Danny Garcia who was going to put this out. But Russ Brandon did. XFL President Russ Brandon issued the following suspensions and fines for player safety rules violations during Sunday's March 5th game between the Battlehawks and DC. Francis Bernard, 2 games. Gabe Wright, 1 of the DC Defenders. And Jaron Jones-Smith got 2 games for the Battlehawks. They have been suspended for their involvement in an on-the-field altercation. We were worried. I was worried about, like, the NFL rules. If you leave the bench, you're suspended. But you can't do that in the XFL because, and we've heard Anthony Beck talk about it, that he was upset, so whatever. So I think they've learned. And I have heard that, things were cool. All the guys talked it out. Remember, they had to travel back together, so things are cool. So during the suspensions, players may not practice with their team, but may attend team meetings, workouts, and meals. Additional violations of the rules or any other league policy may lead to more severe disciplinary action, up to and including termination. Don't mess around or you're out. Additionally, the following players and coaches have been fined for their actions during on the field. Now, we don't know how much. So DC Defenders, Jonathan Kelly, Jamal Brooks, Rod Taylor, and Jeremy Watkins, coach. The Battlehawks, Nate Meadors, Travis Feeney, Brian Hill, and Torrey Woodbury, coach. They all got fined. So this is just something to keep in mind. Players, it's going to make for a great game when they play each other in a couple weeks. That's for sure. But aside from Brian Hill, but no big suspensions, but offensive tackle, they're hard to come by in this league. So we'll see how this impacts both teams down the road. So sad news for the Arlington Renegades. So they made some trades because of Josh Hawkins basically being out for the season. We were afraid Josh Hawkins, he's been moved to the reserve list. He left the game against the Guardians, suffered a knee injury. So they placed him on injured reserve. So prayers up for Josh Hawkins. He was playing well in the league. Really a guy who probably could, over the next couple of years, hopefully he comes back, can definitely be a guy in this league for years to come. So we just pray for him. It's just unfortunate. So they made some moves. So there we got a trade. So the Arlington Renegades, DC Defenders, and Guardians did a 3-way trade. So Arlington receives Javonta Patton, a wide receiver from Orlando. DC receives Alex Ellis, tight end from Tennessee, from Arlington. Ellis was stuck behind Sal Cannella. Now with the injury to Ethan Wolf, now Alex Ellis could have a shot. We'll see what he's going to be doing here. And then Orlando gets another offensive tackle, TJ Stormont, from DC. So there was the trade there. Also, the Arlington Renegades, because of Hawkins, they added 2 defensive backs. So they added Jamar Johnson and Brandon Rusnak to their active roster, according to XFL.com, because of Josh Hawkins' unfortunate tore his ACL in their win against the Guardians. So we have more details on those 2 guys from our main man, Anthony Miller. Also, Battlehawks add Chad Hansen and Puka Williams and place Marcel Aitman on the reserve list from our man Pat Ruffino. Marcel Aitman was supposed to be a guy, and maybe he was just dinged up. So the Battlehawks are calling in some reinforcements after placing Marcel Aitman on the reserve list and dealing with Jared Jones-Smith's suspension. St. Louis has signed former defenders Chad Hansen and Puka Williams to fill their 2 roster spots. The move to bring Hansen and Williams serves to give the Battlehawks receiving core a little bit more support. Not only Aitman going on the reserve, but also Hakeem Butler and Stephen Mitchell appearing on the injury report. Brian Hill, who's also been battering injuries all season long, is listed injury report as well. So those are 2 guys that signed. Whether they have a big to do in the offense this weekend, we will have to just find out. All right, we'll take a commercial break. We'll get to my picks and the latest draft charts and injuries and so much more right after this. Stay tuned.
Get ready for the biggest XFL season yet with RunTheSims.com, your ultimate toolkit for XFL DFS and prop betting. With DraftKings offering XFL contests with huge prize pools, you want to have the best tools and player projections at your fingertips. And Run the Sims delivers with their lineup optimizer, showdown simulator, and expert pick'em tools for Prize Picks and Underdog. So here's the deal. Use code NEWSHUB for 10% off a monthly or weekly spring football subscription and get access to accurate projections to help you make informed decisions and make that money. That's runthesims.com. Use the promo code NEWSHUB for 10% off. So if you followed spring football and in the past, you know the information edge can be massive. So if you want to win big, subscribe to runthesims.com and use the promo code NEWSHUB today to save 10% off.
All right, we are back, my friends. What's up, everybody in the chat room? We'll get to you guys in a second. First, let's get to the previews. Then we'll do the DFS picks, and then we'll do the what's going on with the injuries and all this other kind of fun. We'll do the injuries first, then we'll get to the DFS picks at the end. And then we got the chat room. So what's up in the chat room? Thanks for everybody for stopping by. Shane, what's up? DC all the way. Chris says DC dirty and chippy. All right. Lots of testosterone in that DC St. Louis game. That's true. That's true. It's true. Lemons, V-Cuts. Lemons, you related to, the lemons in the game? He says, XFL, baby. Coach Simmons says, when will St. Louis have a home game? This weekend, my friend. Herb says, with you, playa, I got your back. Well, thank you very much. Go Brahmas. Appreciate that. Big Sam the Evangelist, roast. Yeah, I guess I did cut a little promo there. He says, hell yeah, God bless America, love the Bible and the football. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Dominic says, speak on it, Mark, but don't give them too much energy. On the flip side, y'all better make way for my Seattle Sea Dragons. So happy to see the XFL back again. I'm worried about the Sea Dragons not selling as much tickets as they did before. That's the one thing about the Sea Dragons I'm a little concerned about. All right, so let's get to just kind of the roster moves going on this week, and then we'll wrap up with the player stuff, or my picks. So first up, this is for the Seattle Sea Dragons. So guys that you need to keep an eye on: Morgan Ellison, knee. Did not practice, limited, questionable. He might be a guy you want to stay away from. Charlie Tupenu is also questioned as tight end, but I haven't really seen his name out there much. But so keep an eye on Morgan Ellison for the Seattle Sea Dragons. He's a guy, he played great last week, but he's a guy that might have some issues. You might want to stay away from him, so we'll learn more, but he's questionable. Not probable, questionable. So stay away from him. On the DC Defender side, of course, Ethan Wolf is out for 2 weeks. Lucky Jackson is available. He was limited at first, but he full practice. Other guys, Mike Maietti is available. Liam Ryan, tackle, available. Ty Clary, the other center, knee is out, and so is Ethan Wolf. We saw that for 2 weeks. Breland Moore, another tight end, is probable. That's why they had to bring in the other tight end, because they were thin with Ethan Wolf out. Remember, these rosters are things. So Mike Maietti being back is something to keep an eye on, especially if they already have a good running game for the DC Defenders. Having that center back, he was their main guy. He didn't play much before he got hurt. San Antonio, TJ Vasher is out. Stay away from him. Jalen Tolliver is probable. We'll get into my picks in a little bit. So TJ Vasher, shoulder, he's out. He did not practice, and he is out. But Jalen Tolliver, groin injury, he is probable for the San Antonio Brahmas, and we'll get to that in a second. On to the other stuff we got for you. Some depth charts. Anthony Miller's got the Arlington Renegades. Tyler Vaughn, Brandon Arconado, Kyle Sloter, Jordan Smallwood. I never really see Smallwood much out there. And Kyle Sloter starting Devon Smith. Devon Smith is a guy that could definitely carry the ball. It's Sal Cannella. Of course, they got Sal Cannella. So is it going to be Tyler Vaughn, Sal Cannella deal? We'll have to kind of find out. But I'm really hoping that this week the Arlington Renegades can put a game together, because they need to be successful too in this league. And I think Kyle Sloter was probably one of my top 3 quarterbacks to get in the league. Probably would have been my number one, just because he played so well. So we'll see if they can put things together there. As far as the Vegas Vipers depth chart, Geronimo Allison is out there. Jeff Badette, Sean Price, they just did a whole thing about him. Martavis Bryant has been nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen. Rod Smith had a good game. He's another running back you could look at. And Brett Hundley is also looking like a guy based on some of the... But Martavis Bryant, is he even on the team? Stay away from him until they get something going. And the DC Defenders depth chart, of course, Jordan Ta'amu. I saw Eric Dungy took the field a little bit. Abram Smith, Raquel Armstead. I think Raquel might have had a little bit of injury. Puka Williams is gone. They just got rid of him. Josh Hammonds, Jakar's, Lucky Jackson is in. Of course, this is kind of not right because Ethan Wolf is out. So Briley Moore, we're not really sure what's going on there. So there you have your kind of latest and greatest depth charts for your friend here at XFL News Hub. All right, let's get on. Now we've got this done. Also, we'll look at that later. Let's go to my picks, shall we, my friends? Let's get into the real nuts and bolts here. Let's take a look at DraftKings. So what has Mr. Mark got going on for draft? Oh, first of all, my picks. Let's go with that first. So here's my picks for the week. All right, so Houston Roughnecks, Orlando Guardians are Saturday at 7 p.m. FX. I've got Houston Roughnecks 34-12. I think you'll get a little more offense out of Orlando Guardians, but Houston Roughnecks are clicking. They're the top team. I think they will continue. It would be a huge upset and I would love to see it. Would love to see it, but I don't think Houston. We'll see how they play on the road. So Houston Roughnecks, but I feel comfortable between their defense playing basically the worst team, and I think Houston Roughnecks are probably the best team in the league. I got 34-12. A.J. Smith is dialed it in. Brandon Silvers is dialed in, so you're good there. San Antonio Brahmas at Seattle Sea Dragons. This one at 10 p.m. Eastern on FX. This one, is this the one? I think San Antonio and Vegas Vipers are on the cusp of winning. But this one could go either way. But I'm going Seattle Sea Dragons there at home. Hopefully we can get more than 12,000. I mean, they were getting 20,000 back in the XFL 2.0 era. So I have 17-26. I think Seattle Sea Dragons got the offense. Brahmas are good. They're just not quite there yet. But I think Jack Cohn will have a better game than he had this past week. Arlington Renegades, St. Louis Battlehawks. Arlington has not looked great on offense, even with Kyle Sloter. I'm concerned about their offense. I only have them have 10. I hope I'm wrong, but I only have them in 10. I think you're going to go into a buzzsaw in St. Louis. It's going to be off the charts. They played 3 games on the road. They're going to have a big crowd. They need to it either needs to be close or they need to destroy them. But I think Arlington's going into a buzzsaw. Can Arlington's offense put it together after week 4? If they do not put it together here, I'm just going to be like, is it the play calling? Is it the play calling? But they've got good players. We'll see if they can put it together and make this thing close. But I think St. Louis will win 10-32. Vegas Vipers, a team, they got a good quarterback. They got a crappy field that they play on. They're coming into D.C. Sunday night, 7 p.m. I think D.C., they're undefeated, but they've already played each other once. So do they and it was kind of close, and they kind of pulled away. Can Vegas Vipers deal with the DC Defenders defense? I got 24-28, a high-scoring game. This could be a one that Vegas could pull out. I think they could. I think Hundley is getting dialed in. He was improved from last week. I think he's going to get even better this week. And they played each other once before. And I think that is going to be critical and something interesting to see there. So those are my picks on the scores. So you can go take that to the bank. I've only been wrong picking the games once so far. 1 game out of 3 weeks, which is pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. On to my DFS picks. So I'm going with Ben DiNucci as my quarterback. San Antonio, I like the matchup. They have some guys on San Antonio's defense is really good. I'm feeling comfortable with Ben DiNucci. Just don't fumble the ball. Stop pummeling the ball. I think he's good. San Antonio is the team to pick with running game, so I'm going with Kalen Ballage. Though I have no problem if you would go with Devon Smith either out there. So I think he is a guy that you could potentially go on. I mean, here's another. You want to criticize the XFL is the stats. Stats have not been that great. So he is a guy that potentially you could fill in there. But Kalen Ballage, that offense is run first. So you want to stick with San Antonio. Jeff Badette, Vegas Vipers, is a guy with Brent Hundley. I think he'll do fine. We'll get another pick 6 in DC. We'll have to find out. But Jeff Badette is a guy. Also, Lucky Jackson is coming back. He will be back from injury. He was a cheaper one at $4,700. I went with him because I think he's cheaper, and I think he's really starting to come into his own on the offense. He got more looks. I think Jordan Ta'amu is starting to get more comfortable, so I think we're ready to go. Jalen Tolliver, I like Jack Cohn. This could be a high-scoring game. He is questionable, and what I love to see when I click on this stuff is Tolliver groin is listed as probable for Saturday's game against the Seattle Sea Dragons. Tristan McKinstry of XFL News Hub reports. You got to love that. You've got to love that. I love seeing that stuff. My guys putting in the work, as always, at XFL News Hub. You're 100% biased. Evil corporation. But you're not biased. Whatever. Cody Latimer is another guy I have going for Orlando Guardians. I think him, and I also think quarterback Paxton Lynch are playing better. I think they'll play better this week. I think they're going to have to chuck the ball because they're going to be coming from behind. And he's also only 5,600, so I got Cody Latimer. And then I've got the Houston Roughnecks defense every week because they are one of the top defenses in the league. As far as betting goes, my parlay. Oh man, this thing kicks me out all the time when I pick my parlay. But of course, hold on a second. I got my parlay right here. All right, here's your parlay. Houston Roughnecks, going to go with them. I think you'll get more. I would pick the over on all of these games. And I think I said that last week too. Maybe the Vegas Vipers, DC Defenders would be an under. But I would pick the over on all these games I think they got going on. Clearly, they have the Houston Roughnecks up by 9 points. You could pick the spread if you wanted. The Seattle Sea Dragons, Brahmas, that's a spread that I would stay away from. I still think they would go over. I think Seattle Sea Dragons, they're going to be playing at home. It's going to be late, 10 p.m. Eastern, but they're kind of in the middle, so I guess it really doesn't matter. This is a game that could go either way. Jack Cohn could come in and light them up. Seattle Sea Dragons have struggled to kind of put things together, but they should be a good team. They should be a good team and in playoff contention towards the end of the season. So I think Seattle Sea Dragons will take that. Arlington Renegades, St. Louis Battlehawks. Again, they're picking this one close, but they have Battlehawks. This is going over 36 points. So that's an over. That's easy. It's going to be on the heels of the St. Louis Battlehawks offense. Not, we have to keep an eye on Hakeem Butler. There's been talk about he might be a little banged up a little bit. So that's his go-to guy now, not Austin Prohl anymore. It's Hakeem Butler. This one, though, unless Kyle Sloter is the USFL Kyle Sloter, then I think St. Louis Battlehawks. And the Vegas Vipers, this one is picked that the DC Defenders are going to win. I think the DC Defenders have the defense, still picking the over. I'll go with that because of Hundley and Jeff Badette and their offense. And the DC Defenders, we finally saw Jordan Ta'amu kind of playing into his own. I was like, don't. I love De'Aaron King, but keep him out. Let Ta'amu just run the show. So let's do that. Pick 4 of those. Get your parlay in there. Maybe win yourself a pizza if you do that. Get your parlay. All right, let's see. On to the chat room. Wrapping things up, my friends. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Let's see here. Let's see. Speaking on Mark. Oh, yeah. Lemons v. Cuts' championship game is going to be wild. These 3 weeks have been crazy. They've been a lot of fun. Chris says we got the Michigan Moonrunners right here. Okay, talking about that. Brian says XFL, great. XFL News Hub, phenomenal. News Hub Fantasy Football, no bueno. Hey, this is beta. We're working on it. I think it'll be a lot better. Definitely, I got crushed from the amount of people that came on a Friday and Saturday. That was the thing. And then the first week got screwed up. But I think things have been, I haven't really gotten many error messages or people complaining. Like everybody's, and the system is working. And we've added some updates. I'll be working on it this weekend. They'll have some new updates. And but yeah, it's just kind of, hey, it's only me. I wrote it like 2 years ago and been working on it and just kind of keep working on it as it gets better. Make sure you smash that like button if you like the XFL. Just smash the like button if you like the XFL. Stock Speed Tech. I hate the way, and I think you're onto something, Stock Speed Tech, because I'm kind of with this too. I hate the way the telecasters or whatever they're called, trying to paint the league as though this guy has a shot at the NFL. All they do is talk constantly during the game about the NFL. It just annoys me. I agree. We've been talking about that. We've talked about that before on the podcast. Because, again, how many spots? I mean, you figure like the USFL, 50 spots. I mean, how many spots is this going to open up for? It is talked a little bit too much, but you got to remember the fans that are coming in for the first time, they know the NFL. They don't know the XFL. I think there's definitely some tweaks and things that they can do in the past. Like, what's wrong with just being an XFL player for the next couple of years? You know, having a 5-year career. You know, you play a couple months out of the year. You become known as a guy. You know, you come on this show. I definitely want to get former players, and yeah, as we move along. So, but yeah, I get where they're going with it, but I agree. There was not this like NFL talk, but maybe that's how they got it sold. Let's see. Dominic says it's true. Me too. We aren't turning out like we were before. You know what? I have a feeling it's going to change. I hope so. Oh, and Tony on Facebook says, joined in late, but thought I would say hi. What's up, Tony? Appreciate you coming by. Yeah, and I talked about this on Monday's show, that that the fact that I mean, you want to criticize anything. Seattle's attendance should be in the 20s. Same with the Houston Roughnecks and Arlington Renegades should be about the 18,000. DC Defenders, 18,000. I've heard that the Beer Snake section is already sold out, and they're selling tickets on the other side, and that's filling up fast too. So I think we might have, but the weather, it's supposed to rain and be cold on Sunday night. So there might be an issue with the weather, keeping some people away. If we do better than what we did on that beautiful Sunday at 1 o'clock, I think it's off to the races. We are so close, and especially, with the ratings again. I mean, the ratings are going to go up, or are they going to go down? Like each week, and we have a actually link on our website now. If you go to the menu and click on the link for attendance and ratings, you can see the television ratings and the attendance for each game. Because I just, let's put it out there, because that's what people are interested in. So we'll give it to them there. All right, my friends, that's it for this week's show. Appreciate you stopping by. Going to go hang out with the wife, finish our movie. Haven't seen her in a while. Been busy. So email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record, or leave us a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 3. As always, how we do that. Make sure, please, leave us a nice little review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We'll read it on next week's show. And we're always live, 8 p.m. Eastern, every Monday and Thursday. That's it for me, folks. Again, at the end of the day, we just got to say, this is just for fun. Like, we do this for fun. I want all these leagues to succeed. I don't argue with anybody online because it's just a waste of time, waste of your energy. You're clearly broken. I know it, and you know it. Let's have some fun. This is not that serious. This is football, and it's fun. And it's been fun covering it, and I really enjoy it. It's just when I see those things, I'm like, oh. And how is the rain going to affect the offense, by the way, in D.C. is something to think about as well. All right, my friends, appreciate you guys all stopping by. Make sure you smash that like button. As always, God bless. Enjoy this weekend's games, and I will see you all later. God bless.